This is Brampton in the early 1900s. Hundreds upon hundreds of acres of flowers covered our city. This is how we got the name, the Flower City. Quick history lesson. A man by the name of Harry Dale, essentially the Drake of his time for our city, put Brampton on the map with his innovative growing techniques and his world-renowned roses. And the more I thought about this, the more I realized that Brampton's connection to flowers is the perfect metaphor for unlocking one's inner creative. There's three major components to unlocking your inner creative that I've identified. The first is finding a healthy balance of challenge, opportunity, and time. That's at the seed level. The second phase is at the stem level. This is transcending the ego. And lastly, but not least, is at the flower level, and this is finding and working within your innovation zone. So let's start off with at the seed level, and I could actually relate this back to when I was younger. So believe it or not, I was actually the tallest kid in my class, right up until about grade 1. Everyone kept saying, don't worry, your growth spurt is coming, your growth spurt is coming. Here I am, 20 years later, still waiting for this so-called growth spurt. But being smaller than the rest actually posed some unique challenges. I wasn't as popular, I wasn't as athletic, and I was even bullied because of it. But this pushed me to really want to build a strong identity for myself. And this ultimately led to my first entrepreneurial venture when I was in grade 5. So I spent all of my birthday money, it was $400, on a 1-speed CD burner. I bought this burner, I hooked it up to my computer, and I started to sell CDs to kids on the playground. We had everything the typical 10-year-old needed back in 1998. We had Spice Girls, we had Backstreet Boys, we had NSYNC, we had StarCraft, we had Warcraft. We even had Aaron Carter. And to be honest, life was good. We were balling. We had extra pizza slices on pizza day, double chocolate chip cookies, and as quickly as we rose, we fell when the principal found out about our operation and shut us down. And not only was this my first run-in with the law, but this was my first run-in with a healthy balance of challenge, opportunity, and time. But what is it about this mix that's so important? Well, challenge is important because it pushes us to constantly ask why and why not until we arrive at a solution. It inhibits a deeper level of thinking. But finding the right challenge is also important. So one trick that I've used is I ask myself, what do I feel comfortable teaching someone else? And the answer to that question is likely a space that you're well suited to innovate in. But challenge in the absence of opportunity and time, this could cause feelings of anxiety, this could cause feelings of helplessness. Much in the same way, opportunity, it's abundant around us. But if it's spoon-fed to us, this could lead to complacency and a lack of action. And time. We can have all the challenge and opportunity in the world, but if we don't have the time to contemplate, to think, to reflect, we'll likely find ourselves in a situation where we're just functioning day in and day out. And at the intersection of these three things, we have a creative mind. And that's one of the reasons I believe Brampton is well slated to be one of the next major hubs for innovation and creativity. In Brampton, diversity is our strength. We have over 40 new people moving into the city each and every day, many of which are newcomers to the country, each faced with their own unique challenges of setting up a life in a foreign place. But at the same time, that challenge is met with the opportunity that's abundant in the city. This is a perfect breeding ground for creativity. Now that our seed has taken root, it's time for our stem to break ground. This is equivalent to transcending the ego. So let's first define the ego. Let's think of it as a little character in the back of our brain that's there constantly shooting down ideas. Whether it be your idea, your friend's idea, this little character is there shooting down these ideas. Now, the ego is great. It helps us build our identity, but it has its time and its place. Let me give an example. So this is so much of a problem. What are some of the first words that come out of people's mouth when you pitch a new idea to them? Yes, but. Yes, but this. Yes, but that. However. So this is so much of a problem that a famous artist out of the Netherlands by the name of Dan Rosengard created a chair. He called his chair the yes, but chair. And this chair actively listens to you in meetings. And if it hears you say the words, yes, but, it'll send in a mild electric shock right to your butt. The idea here is to try to curb this behavior. But why do humans, well, as humans, why is our first instinct to try to shoot down these ideas? It comes down to two things: the human ego and our unwillingness to change. As humans, we have a natural desire to want to be heard. And when someone else is pitching an idea, our version of being heard is trying to shut down that idea. Furthermore, if that idea contradicts the status quo, then we're more likely to find reasons to discredit that idea. How can we go about changing the way we approach this? Well, it comes down to reframing how we see ourselves in the environment. I'll give an extreme example. When an astronaut goes into outer space, a cognitive shift happens. This shift is called the overview effect. And the overview effect, essentially, the astronauts describe it as a feeling of peace, a feeling of unity, a feeling of understanding the big picture. And the reason that this shift happens is that for the first time, the astronauts are seeing the Earth from a distance, and they see the Earth operating as a whole, 7.5 billion people operating as one interconnected system. This perspective helps to transcend the ego. But the good news is, you don't have to be an astronaut to transcend the ego. Some people find this in other ways. You could travel the world. Some people find it through volunteering. It could be as simple as when you exit the highway and you pull up to a red light and somebody's at your window asking for a couple dollars. Instead of ignoring them, have a quick 1 or 2 minute conversation with them. The key here is to change our perspective. And by broadening this perspective, we're transcending the ego. By transcending the ego, we are freeing up mental space and energy in our mind. We think less about the trivial matters in life, and we think more about imagination and creative thoughts. So now that our stem has broken ground, it's time for our innovation flower to blossom. This is equivalent to finding the innovation zone. So we all have good ideas from time to time, but very rarely are we thinking about the conditions in which we had those ideas. And by conditions, I'm talking about the environmental conditions. Was it hot? Was it cold? Who were you with? Were you sitting? Were you standing? Imagine if we paid attention to these things and we were able to pick up a pattern in where our most creative ideas came to light. And then we were able to replicate that environment and actively put ourselves in that situation. How many more good ideas would we have? Let me give a couple examples. Mark Twain, his innovation zone was while playing a game of pool. Steve Jobs, his innovation zone was sitting on the ground with a cup of tea, his stereo, and a lamp. What are some of your innovation zones? How many people here, just a quick show of hands, how many people here have their most creative thoughts in a coffee shop? Show of hands. Okay. How many people have their most creative thoughts in nature, maybe in solitude? Show of hands. Okay. And this is where my innovation zone is. But how many people here have their best, most creative thoughts in the shower? So the key is, the next time you have a great idea, chase it down, be relentless with it. But take a moment to reflect on the conditions in which you had that idea. Take a mental note, take a physical note if you want, write it down. And pretty soon, you'll be able to see some patterns. And then you'll be able to actively place yourself in this innovation zone. And why is all of this so important? Why is unlocking your inner creative so important? I believe that this is one of the most important things you can do in life. This leads you to your life purpose. Remember that changing what is around you, you can't change what's around you without first changing what's within you. Will this be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. Stay creative, Brampton. Thank you.